Hi, I'm Glenn Rogers, and this is American Perspectives. In this video, we're going to talk about the idea of a safety net. Many young people today embrace socialism, and you may have wondered why. If you're one of the young people, you may know why. But a lot of us, the rest of us, are going, why are there so many kids who seem to think socialism is a good idea? Well, one reason, and I've talked with some, and I've been told this personally, so this is not hearsay, I get this from young people. One reason is because they want what they call a safety net to protect them in difficult times. Loss of job, illness, or something like that creates a problem where maybe they would feel additionally vulnerable and like things might not work out, and I don't want to be up there on the high wire all by myself with nothing under me. I want a safety net under there, so if I fall, something is there to catch me. That's what they're looking for, and they're thinking that socialism is going to be that safety net. And so my question today is, well, really, is that a good idea? Is socialism going to be a safety net for anybody? So that's what we're going to talk about. But first, I want to take just a moment and ask you to subscribe to our channel. It's very helpful if you'll do that. It doesn't cost you anything. Nobody will bother you or anything, but hit that little subscribe button, and it allows our videos to work their way up through the algorithm so that more people have a chance to see them, and that's very helpful to us. So we'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. Okay, so what about this idea that socialism can be a safety net in case of life's challenges becoming overwhelming? All right, well, first, and I've got several things here I'm going to bring up, but first, socialism, this is just a historical fact, okay? Socialism doesn't protect anyone from anything, okay? Just ask the people in Cuba and Venezuela if socialism has been a safety net for them. And there are plenty of people online who do interviews and that sort of thing. In fact, just yesterday, my wife, who teaches GED, young people who didn't get their high school diploma, go back to school, take some special classes and take some tests, and they get their GED so that, they have the equivalent of a high school diploma. And she was talking with one of her students, and this young woman was actually raised in Cuba. She grew up in Cuba. And she's now in her early 20s, right? And she was talking to my wife about what it's like to live in Cuba under a socialist regime. And I tell you, what she told her wasn't pretty. I'm not going to go into it right now, but what you can do is go online and look for interviews with people from Cuba and Venezuela, see, and find out what they think about socialism, and see if after you listen to them, you think socialism is going to be a safety net for anybody. Okay, it isn't. Okay, it just isn't. Second, if you're a young person and you're looking for a safety net, then I can tell you how to create your own safety net. Okay, you can do that yourself. You don't need socialism for that. You can do it yourself. You don't need somebody to do it for you. And I'm going to give you several things right now that you can do to provide yourself with a safety net. Now, you may not like all of these things I'm going to say, all right? But you need to listen to this and maybe even get a pencil and take some notes. Write these down, okay? Number one, get an education. Get an education and or a skill set in some field or line of work where you can get a good paying job. In a field where there will always be good paying jobs. And there are a bunch of them out there, okay? The baby boomer generation, which is the biggest generation in American history, has just entered the world of retirement, of being senior citizens, and over the next 30 to 40 years, the rest of the baby boomers are going to follow them into that. And as we get older, and I'm one of them, so as we get older, guess what we need? We need more health care because as you get older, your body starts to break down and you have to go to the doctor more and you need more specialists for all sorts of different things. Well, guess what? That means that in the healthcare field, there are and will continue to be lots and lots and lots of good paying jobs. And you don't have to go to medical school and become a doctor. You don't have to do that. You don't even have to go to school and become a nurse if you don't want to actually work with patients. In that sense, being a doctor or a nurse, you can become some sort of a healthcare technician where you work in the x-ray lab or you're a respiratory technician or you're a physical therapist or something like that. Believe me, us old people need younger people who can do those sorts of things, right? And you will always be able to get a good job working in a nice environment if you'll just go there, and it's not that hard to do. Somebody says, yeah, but I don't want to, I couldn't work in that, I don't want to do that. No, that's not for me. Okay, well, figure out what is. What about being a welder? Do you know how much money welders make? They make a ton of money. You can go to a tech school or a trade school and get a certification in welding in between 1 and 2 years. Depends on which schools you go to and if you can go full-time or not, whatever. All right, and there are scholarships out there for people who want to do that. You can get a job welding right out of school making nearly $40,000. And after a few years, there are people out there welding making $80,000 a year. Okay? So, get an education and get a skill set in a field where you can make good money. You can get a good paying job. That's the number one thing you can do to provide yourself with your own safety net. See? And then once you get the education, then number two is go out there and get a good job. Do whatever you need to go find the job. One, preferably, that pays benefits, like health insurance. And if that means that you have to move somewhere else, different part of the country, then move. Okay? To create your own safety net, you're going to have a good job, and sometimes you can't get one in the little town where you might live. I used to teach up in Iowa, and there was a little town there called Esterville. We'd get a lot of students from Esterville, and it's just a little town, 6,300 people, okay? And they would come to college, and they'd get all, educated and ready to go and everything. They say, so what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go back to Esterville, and I'm going to work in the Hy-Vee. And that's a grocery store, okay? And my thought was, well, then why did you even bother coming to college? You didn't need to come to college to get that job. And I would talk to them and say, what? And you know what it came down to each time? They didn't want to leave home. They didn't want to move away from mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and brothers and sisters. They wanted to stay right there. And so what did that do? Well, it confined them to whatever was available there in that small town. Now, Esterville is a wonderful place to live. Don't get me wrong. I like Esterville. It's a great place. Okay, but with 6,300 people, there's not a lot of industry there. There are not a lot of different job opportunities. And even in the surrounding areas, there are not very many there, okay? So if you live in a situation like that, okay, and there are lots of small towns all across America, and the jobs there are, supermarkets and gas stations and retail stores. There's a Walmart and there's this or that, whatever. If that's what you're limiting yourself to, you're never going to have much of a safety net. You're never going to have an actual real career that you can work with. You've got to be willing to go where the jobs are, and that means you may have to move away from mom and dad, move away from grandma and grandpa. You may have to let them live their lives and you move on and live yours and get a good job, okay? Number three, open a savings account and save your money instead of spending it, okay? A lot of people, the first real good job they get, they want to run out and spend all their money on stuff that they've been wanting to buy. Wrong. Open a savings account. That's the most important thing you can do when you get a job, is go open a savings account and put money regularly into your savings account. And that's connected to number 4, live frugally, okay? Don't buy a bunch of stuff that you don't need. Many young people look at their parents and they see this nice house and the nice furniture and the cars and the money in the bank, you know, and they think, well, I want that. I'm on my own now. I want that. And they forget. They don't realize that, yeah, but it took their parents 40 or more years to get that, okay? That their parents didn't have that when they got out of school and got their first job, okay? It's going to take you time. So live frugally. And don't go spending money on stuff you don't really need. You know, put it in the bank and save it. And one of the few things you should spend your money on is continuing education. But you should also buy some books about money management. You know, learning how to manage money and use money to make money is a skill. Did you realize that? It's a skill. You can learn how to do it. Buy some books on how to do it and learn how to do it. And with the money you save, then begin using your money to make money. See? And number 6, when you can, then buy a house that you can afford in an area where house values are going up. And that can be the major safety net that you have, the equity in your home. Okay, so be careful what you buy. Don't buy more house than you need. Don't buy the big expensive one. You're not ready for that yet. Buy what you can afford in an area where housing values are going up. Now, these are just 6 simple things that you can do, but they will serve as your safety net so that in the future, when things happen that you can't foresee, and they will. Nobody lives a charmed life where everything is just wonderful and there are no problems, okay? Things will happen, but if you do those 6 things, you can create your own safety net and you won't have to worry so much. But just so you know, capitalism is a better safety net than socialism could ever be. Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty and created more wealth and more security and more jobs than socialism will ever be able to. Okay? You can't depend on socialism for anything. And the fact is, you can't really depend on the government for much of anything either. You need to be a self-reliant person. You get yourself in a position where you can take care of yourself, because you can't depend on too many other people to take care of you, unless you want to move back into your mom and dad's basement or have them build an apartment over their garage or something. Mom and dad will take care of you for probably a long time. But short of that, you need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be an independent, self-reliant person. Create your own safety net and don't depend on the government to take care of you, because they won't. And socialism certainly won't. Well, those are my thoughts for the day. I hope I didn't scare you too much. I hope I didn't offend you too much. But it's important to tell the truth, and you need to hear the truth. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll watch more of our videos. Thanks.